Yamunatira Yamunatira Munachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balaba Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Yoraga, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Lalita Vishaka, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishaka, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishaka. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Thank you for coming. I think it's pretty good reason to come, even for simple thing. This is warm here compared to outside. Yes. Not so many rooms are warm, so Krishna is providing all the benefits for those who are willing to learn his message. So, today we have a very, very nice verse. And it is from 70th chapter. We're coming close to Bhagavad Gita. Well, of course, the longest chapter is up there. Right? The 18th chapter is the longest of all. How many verses? 78. 78. Some of them are just 20, right? 20, 22, 25. So today we are reading from 17th chapter, verse 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mana prasada saumyatvam. Mana prasada saumyatyam. Maunamatma vinigraha. Maunam atma vinigraha. Bhava samshuddhir ityetat. Bhava samshuddhir ityetat. Tapo manasamuchyate. Tapo manasamuchyate. Manah prasada saumyatvam. Maunam atma vinigraha. Bhava samshuddhir ityetat. Tapomana samuchyate.
Manaprasada saumyatvam.
Manaprasada saumyatvam.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Bhavasam shuddhirityetat.
Bhavasam shuddhirityetat.
Tapomana samuchyate.
Tapomana samuchyate.
Manaprasada saumyatvam.
Manaprasada saumyatvam.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Bhavasam shuddhirityetat.
Bhavasam shuddhirityetat.
Tapomana samuchyate.
Tapomana samuchyate.
Prasada saumyatvam.
Manaprasada saumyatvam.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Maunamatma vinigraha.
Bhavasam samshuddhirityeta
bhava samshuddhirityeta
tapomana samuchyate
apamana samuchyate
मनः प्रसादः सौम्यत्वम्
mana prasada saumyatam
मौनमात्मा विनिग्रहः
maunamatma vinigraha
भाव संशुद्धिरित्येत
bhava samshuddhirityeta
तपोमानः समुच्यते
apamana sauchyate
Manaprasada somyatvam.
mana prasada saumyatam
Monam atma vinigraha.
maunatma vinigraha
Samsuddhi ityeta.
bhava samshuddhirikyetat
Tapo manasam uchyate.
apamana samuchyate
मनः प्रसाद सौम्यत्वं
mana prasada saumyatvam
मौनम् आत्मविनिग्रहः
maunamanam vinigraha
भावसंशुद्धिरित्येतत्
bhava samshuddhirikyetat
तपोमानसम् उच्यते
apamana samuchyate mana prasada saumyatvam maunatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirikyetat tapomana samuchyate. Word for word meaning: manah prasada, satisfaction of the mind. Saumyatvam, being without duplicity towards others. Maunam, gravity. Atma, of the self. Vinigraha, control. Bhava, of one's nature. Samshuddhi, purification. Iti, thus. Etat, this. Tapa, austerity. Manasam, of the mind. Uchyate, is said to be. Translation purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are austerities of the mind. Purport. To make mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training of the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways of sense gratification, and so there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity of the mental activities. Amagyantimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prabhupada said, my regular public attendants who come to classes, and I guess you've been in the previous classes, right? Or you're coming only to my class? Hopefully not. Since we are discussing sacrifices, and a few verses before, actually 5, before this one, is starting with 11, is sacrifices according to the goodness, passion, and ignorance. And of course, after these sacrifices, there's also austerities, and they consist of body, and speech, and finally we come to the mind. So speech is also quite closely related to the whole thing, because unless you are speaking, you cannot figure out which guna you are. You may be looking very nice, very pleasant, but in your open mouth you are speaking nonsense. This is an easy way to find out which guna you are. Just ask to have some short conversation. What do you think of that? Straight away. Every subject we discussing here, actually, in the world, can be looked from 3 different points of view. We're not going to apply the first one. But first one would be how people in the world understand it. The worldly view. Atheists, right? Without knowledge of God. How they look at the mind. Is it possible to discuss the mind without knowledge of God? I guess so. I'm sure any of you heard such a term as a psychologist, right? Psychiatric hospitals. They try to cure the mind. They try to talk, get big money, doctors, and they just listen to you, give some strange advice. In old times, at least, a Christian monk was sitting in a church and he was giving advice. Okay, after you tell about your sins, at least you should chant your, some prayers from Bible or something like this, in the Western world. Nowadays, even that doesn't happen. So second thing is from the Krishna conscious view, which would be also possible to divide on different levels. One is classical thing, which we usually understand. This is a point of view of people who are really appreciating or valuing Krishna's opulences. And Vrindavan point of view would be looking at the same things, exactly the same things, from sweetness point of view. So there's Aishwarya and there's Rasa, right? Possible? I guess so. Every point of view every subject can be looked at different ways. So same thing, we can analyze the mind. And Sriram Swami and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur has extensive lectures and classes and scriptures written down how the mind is working. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita is showing 5 steps how senses perceive and how they come to memory, and how they sort out and they create new categories and join and this and finally use it and like this. Exactly, that was like hundreds of years ago. It exactly happens nowadays. The scientists do the same thing. Psychologists, how the mind works. But here we can see there is some additional thing to the classical thing, which usually nowadays doctors don't understand, which is austerity, satisfaction. Yes, we discussed already there's different gunas, but in general is understood that mind is in a level of peacefulness. If somebody has kind of little bit had a hint from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description how the whole material elements evaluated from each other, right? How the gross pradhana and how the three gunas of material nature, and then the false ego came, and from the false ego in the darkness, the elements came, and then the passion, ignorance, and then what was next? Intelligence, and finally from the false ego in the goodness, the mind came. So actually in the goodness. Mind itself is already in a goodness. But still, as we know, the pure goodness doesn't exist in this world, so there's a mixture. But here, Krishna says that it is important to understand to achieve something. Because austerity or penance, which we're discussing last verses here, meant to do something. So what it meant to do? What do you think one of these all things which are most important? Do you have a translation? Oh, it's gone. Anyways, satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence. These austerities of the mind. So there should be some goal which we are going to. So what would be the goal for the mind? What we want to achieve by all these things? Any ideas? Any hints? Peace. Well, there's a satisfaction, peace, simplicity, peace. Yeah, sure, okay. It's not mentioned here. It's valid. And you have a hand here.
Focusing on Krishna.
Right, which is not mentioned here. It's so unusual, right? So, if we sometimes pull out these verses from the context, we can say this is almost a theistic point of view. This is thing and this is austerity. So, but what is austerity meant for? And we know one of the main things austerity meant for is coming from the word itself. We already discussed shortly here today at lunchtime that tapa or austerity means fire. And fire means transformation. And many times also purification. We know there's different types of purifying. You can purify the floor by washing with water, right? The water can be purified by boiling. The fire can be purified if you blow enough air on it. And air can be purified by mantras, by sound. And sound can be purified? Nobody knows. How you can purify mantras? By pure intentions, by pure existence, pure mind. So everything should be coming back to the origin. If we understand how and why all these things were expanded and created by Lord, we can trace back to Krishna. So therefore, there's different levels of understanding the original goal. Yes, it's coming. Yeah, all these aham sarvasya prabhavo, from me everything comes. Spiritual, material worlds, everything comes from him. So that means also mind is coming, right? That's ultimate cause. He is sarvakarana karanam. So next level will be mahatattva, these elements which are like a soup originally, and let's get divided into elements. And that's one, sattva, goodness, and all these things coming. Srimad Bhagavatam also says, from false ego in goodness, the mind comes, as I mentioned already. So the third one would be deity in this universe. Anyone knows who is in charge of mind? Any particular deity? Chandra, right, the moon. And if you have a little bit sensitive mind in a full moon night, there will be problem. Mind is getting crazy. And the moon is not so strong, you are kind of peaceful. We observed this thing. I was working a long time ago in one of the shops in the central train station, and the full moon night comes, all strange and crazy customers coming with their demands and problems and things they not even cannot explain themselves what's going on. So this is true. We missed also the previous version also, it is mentioned that Aniruddha is a ultimate deity of the mind. When we talk about Chaturyuha, that level, universal level. So later we have Chandra and guide. In individual level, we have to understand mind is also, from Bhagavad Gita we know, can be friend and can be enemy, right? So it's very close to us. There's just sitting next to me, there's a mind. Sometimes they say heart, it means consciousness, means mind. And it's true. And ultimately, of course, we have to understand from devotional point of view. So this is the fifth level. We try to purify the member and serve Lord with the body, with the speech and the mind, which is given here, last 3 verses. And Prabhupada is summarizing. The mind is the center of all senses. Unless one is fixed on Krishna, it will drag soul into the material bondage. So that's the mind. So therefore, these qualities are described by Krishna, which is helpful. So if you keep trying to develop these qualities, this tapa, this process of austerity, will change. It will be fire which transforms the lower type of energy to the higher. So, by chanting, by serving, by doing bhakti, by association, we purify our existence, including the mind. Yeah? Body we purify by water, by soap, somebody by oil. Mind we purify by speech, there was mantras and so on. Mind be purified by those things that being satisfied. Because energy is such a thing which we like to use. You can look at the zoo or some wild animals and they just run around. A rabbit can run that way. Why is running? Well, sometimes cows also running if they're very happy. Like, do. It's really an enjoyment. Actually, the enjoyment is that the energy flows through us, And when you run and the sweat is coming and you're breathing, you feel alive, If you're just sitting, hardly breathing, nothing happens, who knows, Maybe your mind is a little bit tired, You don't feel alive, you feel like almost dead. And straight away, because of that, people are thinking, okay, let my mind go wild. Let me travel. At least if I cannot afford going somewhere, let me travel. And we use TV and look at these animal and geographic channels, looking around all the world. Mind is going wild. The same thing, mind goes wild when we try to pursue some ideas. Okay, let me be this, let me be that. We play computer games, we engage in some role plays and something, There's such a thing, You haven't seen, but it is crazy, Maybe here is nice when you sit somewhere in the countryside or Krishna conscious temple and devotees come together and they play Ramayana, right? Everybody takes some role, and I'll be Hanuman, you'll be the brothers of Ramachandra and the monkey, everything, They're playing. But there's some people who play completely nonsense. Some Tolkien idea, some Lord of the Rings idea, and they come and they dress and spend lots of money and just, okay, now it's going to be war. Some kind of imaginable thing, Just nonsense. Yeah. Pursuing some kind of strange ideas, Shooting range, Big guys, they're playing war, like kids, even more. Anyways, for us it is important to understand that mind should be satisfied. This is mana prasada, satisfaction. He's already in a level of satisfaction and goodness, because goodness people are satisfied. They are not so greedy, not so interested in many things. If you want to have a business, the customers who are self-satisfied are not your friends, right? You want the greedy customers who want to change the phone every 6 months. They want to have run after the fashion and buy new clothes and this and that, and new house and many things. And that's a mind which is completely running wild, different directions. So we are not friends if we are businessmen. Therefore, the people who are doing these things, they never try to explain how important it is to be satisfied. Bhagavad Gita says, 270, a person who is not disturbed by increasing flow of desires, they enter like rivers into the ocean, which is never being fulfilled and always still, can alone achieve peace, and not a man who strives to satisfy such desires. Desires are a very strange thing, actually. The Yoga Sutras explain that the mind is kind of similar like in a lake. Can you imagine a lake? Who have seen? Like pond, like a Kusum Sarovar. Let's say. Because Kusum Sarovar, why? It is meant to be very deep. Who knows how deep the Kusum Sarovar is? Some say there's no end. It's completely bottomless. Anyways, the idea is that according to my karma and according to some stars, sometimes from the bottom of the pond, there's a bubble coming up. And it comes to the front, makes a bubble, puck, and bursts up. So this is our karma. And sometimes this desire just like pops in my mind, from nowhere. It's not from nowhere. It is from our experience. Because being here for unlimited lifetimes, and that whole experience of previous lives are lying in the bottom in a thick mud of samskaras, of our impressions, of our experiences from previous lifetimes. And maybe some desire you fulfilled, maybe you didn't fulfill. It doesn't matter. Just looking at the thing, you remember, wow, that's important. I want it now. I wanted it soon. I want it straight away. So these desires come. But for peaceful person, for satisfied person, even if these desires come, he doesn't really do anything about it. It's like, you just said the dogs are barking, but the caravan just goes on, So desires come and go. This is the idea of what Krishna is trying to help us to understand through the peacefulness. Completely opposite. If we read some books about war, about romance, about business, things like that, they agitate the mind. They don't make it peaceful. And people purposely go to roller coaster, just to have fun. It's dangerous. But yeah, I had experience. Nice weekend. I threw up 3 times. Nice experience. Yeah. There was one old man, probably was like 80s. He was really like filthy wealthy, like so wealthy. He was like one of the top people in America, I think so, billionaire. And he was celebrating his like 80-something birthday. And of course, in such a celebration, some press comes and some guy was sitting in a microphone and asking some questions, so on. And he just asked, how would you describe shortly the motto of your life or your lifestyle? He said, easy, I can describe in one word, more. More, give me more. So until the very end of the life, over 80s, he was still thinking how to get more. I'm not satisfied. Those things which bring me it's not possible. Sometimes also there is another word called prashantam, is peacefulness, and prashantam, very peacefulness. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 2.747. It is what one who realizes absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. Because, why? Pratibodha matram, his consciousness is opposite to the matter, opposite to the things which try to agitate and try to satisfy our senses. Yes. Therefore, many times now we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But Gurukula, it was today or yesterday, Prabhuji was giving class. Very nice. Yesterday he was giving class and he's chanting this mantra. Om Sahana Avatu Sahana Bhunaktu. In a school in Mayapur, I think it was across just they were chanting this mantra before class. Very nice. Saha vidyam karavavahai tejasvinam aditamastamam vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You know that one. You been Gurukula? No. It's very nice, yeah. The meaning is that we should come together and discuss the spiritual subject. And we pray so this interaction is not interrupted, teaching and learning, and is pleasant. So therefore, we need a shanti, we need peacefulness. With agitated mind, it's impossible. I remember my school time was a little bit different, but my kids' school was even worse. My son, we sent him into some school. So first class was okay, because he was going exactly the same school I was. But then my job was changed. I had to go to capital, and we had to change the school as well. So we went to this Waldorf school, the German kind of top level. Have you heard Waldorf school? There is in India as well. I know, definitely. Anyways, the idea is that such unusual teaching technique, and you should not touch and you should not raise your voice to the children. And because of this exclusivity, there was lots of kids from the wealthy and well-known families, the sportsmen and politicians, and everyone was there. And the kids were completely spoiled. They just completely spoiled. So somehow or another, I came 10, 15 minutes earlier to pick up my kid from the school. Usually his mom was doing that. Anyways, that happened. And I come to the door and I think, oh, must be a break. There's no school, there's just break. They already finished. They opened the door. Oh, please close the door, we didn't finish. There was so much noise going on. All the kids were running around the class, sitting on tables, doing whatever they want, and the teacher was just standing on a board and trying to speak something to explain. Completely useless. And there's such a strange system because you don't understand the psychology of the mind of the kids. You don't understand what is authority, how to, understand how the parents can influence. All these things were completely not used in the education system. So therefore, there was no exchange. Next, even we didn't finish the thing. I just took him out. I just took him out from the school after 3-4 months. Forget it. There's no useless completely. And we gave him to the Christian school. That was so nice. So yes, peacefulness. Mind has to also be simple, without duplicity. Actually, well-wishing. Saumyatyam is also this. We mentioned the moon god. Saumyatyam means like moon, moon-like mind. And it means the mind should be looking at everyone like a moon. It doesn't divide. This vegetable is good, and this is bitter, and this is some kind of weed, and so on. It gives a live juice, at night especially, to every vegetable or weed or any plant. So, relating to everybody is same. You don't speak, oh, this is my business partner, I'm going to cheat him. And these are family friends, I'm going to be friends with them. No, you're equipoised. So therefore, simplicity being without duplicitous towards others. It's completely opposite to matsarya, to the enviousness and greed and so on. So if someone, oh, he's doing better than me, no, it's enviousness. No, it's completely different. So therefore, we have to be these qualities. As far as I understand, one of the main things is, okay, we have a quality of the mind, but there's one of them is purification. And purification is not just situation that you are pure, but it's mentioned there should be process of purification. We have to understand that original person, Krishna, is most pure. Anyone have some idea, some verse coming to the mind which confirms that Krishna is most pure? Om apavitra pavitrava staravastam gitopiva yasmaret pundarika aksham savayabhyantra suchihi. Whatever state you are, clean or not clean, if you remember Lord, you'll be purified. Actually, to be fair, there's 4 types of pureness in Lord. Any ideas? First of all, the name of the Lord is pure. Right? You know? Purna Shutta Nitya Mukta Bhinnatana. Purna Shutta Nitya Mukta. Shutta. Pure, clean. The holy name of the Lord is purifying. Second thing, Lord himself is purifying. The third thing, Lord himself is pure as a person. Therefore, is not touched by any filth or any material thing. And the fourth thing, something is connected. Usually we say devotees are purifying. Tulsi is purifying. You know, shadow is purifying. Dust is purifying. So things are tadiyam, purifying. Interesting enough, you can exactly do things with devotees. The name of devotee is also purifying. When we chant, for example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai on his disappearance day, it's also purifying. Those who come in a contact with a devotee also becomes purifying. And of course, devotees themselves are pure, internally and externally. So such a way, everything is pure. And if we are keeping as much as possible association or contact with something which is pure, we're getting purified, right? Tapa. Tapa is fire. If you want to clean something, why Prabhupada used so much unalloyed devotional service. Where this comes from? Unalloyed? Unalloyed. Where it comes from? Yeah, condemnation. But where this comes from? It comes from metallurgy. Metallurgy. That means you have some alloy, some kind of metal, and you put it in a fire, and it's actually becoming liquid. It's like you're boiling water. It's actually metal which is boiling, and you special things you use inside to clean the purity. For example, if you just collect the aluminum cans in the street, you try to put them in a fire, straight away, thick layer of the paint and the oxidizing, you just put it off, take it off, and gradually you see completely, white, mirror-like surface of the aluminum, And even that, you have to take it off because it oxidizes all the time, And then you put some special chemicals so it keeps clean. And then you can make new pots or whatever, something like that. So unalloyed means without any impurities. Alloys, without any alloys. So alloys is like, you get the gold, this carat and that carat, there's some alloys, something to make it strong, because gold is soft. If you put the pure gold, it will be break. It's just very soft, But put some copper or something like that and it becomes stronger. So therefore purity. Interesting enough, we can read a little bit, some short passage of purity. When Rupa Goswami describes Krishna's qualities, he mentions the 64 main ones, right? You have heard of that one. Which 4 of them are unique for Krishna, but other ones also belong to living beings. So one of them is pure. So therefore it relates to devotees, relates to Krishna, relates to his incarnations, and so on. And this is quality number 21, nectar of devotion. Prabhupada explains. There are 2 kinds of supreme purity. When one type is possessed, one is able to deliver sinful person. So if you are pure yourself, just externally, it's not so important. But if you meet with someone who is completely sinful, like Jagai Madhai or materialist, if you can purify, that's one of the purities. It kind of makes different approach, different direction for our mind to go. What is purity? When the other type is possessed, one does not do anything which is impure. Either activity or anything sticks to him. So he purifies someone else and he himself is pure. So these things are important for us to understand. Gravity, one more quality. What do you understand by gravity? Here this word maunam. But sometimes it's also used as a gambhira. Gambhira? The place where Lord Chaitanya stayed in Jagannath Puri? He was grave person. But also gravity is an interesting thing. If I have an object and I don't hold it up, what happens? It falls down. There's a gravity. Why gravity is pulling to each other? Because they are similar nature. Right? We say, birds of same feather flock together. So similar things attract. If our mind is not pure, to which things will attract? The same impure things. Right? So, and if you purify your mind, it will not be attracted to those things anymore. It will attract something else. So that means the mind is a very subtle thing. It is actually more pure the things which we are usually experiencing. Those thoughts which we have now getting purified. If we contact the most pure person, which is Krishna. He can purify sinful. He doesn't do anything impure himself. So more we associate with, as we talked before, things to himself, holy name, himself, deities, devotees, the more our mind gets purified. So gravity will not work here. In some medium stage it will float in the air, and finally it will attract to Krishna, right? Our mind will attract to Krishna. But that requires kind of balance, like 50%, When you have 99%, it's like there. And if there's like more purity than 50%, it starts float and it goes back to Krishna. So these are very pure thoughts. Grave. Krishna is grave. Self-controlled. Krishna is very much self-controlled. There's very nice stories. As I told in the beginning, we can talk from materialistic point of view, and we can talk from Ishvara, from Tattva point of view. And ultimately we can talk from rasa, from pastime point of view. Any pastime comes to you in mind when Krishna is self-controlled, patient? It comes to me one time. Everybody been here somewhere, more or less in Braja Dham. There's a famous place called Javat, or Jao. You know where it is? Who is living there? Radharani is living there. So many times Krishna was trying to visit her. But not every time he was successful. So what happened? One time he came and he was trying to attract the attention of Radharani. She was in a room. But she couldn't call openly, Radha, Radha. So he was very good on making sounds which are similar to cuckoo. And he was like, oh, like a bird's doing, And he was standing there. But it was Kokila, yeah. There was such a sweet and nice voice. Straight away, the mother-in-law came out. What? Who is nice singing? I never heard such a beautiful bird singing. And it's like really attractive, So what Krishna was doing, he straight away, he was hiding. First behind the tree, and then he was trying to hide, but understood maybe she goes around. He was crawling in the tree. And she was trying to understand, who is there? And at some stage she started thinking, no, this is not a bird. It's a little bit too big size. Must be some thief. And she thought, oh no, I'm going to catch him. But of course, she could not crawl on a tree. So she was decided, I'll be sitting underneath tree. So she was sitting. And Krishna was doing his cuckoo all right, He couldn't get down, he couldn't get to Radharani. He was very, very, very patient. At the same time, he was very persistent. He was willing to achieve his goal. He is most pure. He didn't want to achieve purity, but he wanted to have a pleasure pastimes, not just for himself. He wanted to make Radharani happy. So he was very patient, very persistent, such a way. There was another pastime which is described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You must know this. You must know. If you know this. There is Chamatkar Chandrika. There is 4 nice pastimes. And one time Krishna comes to the room and he sees Yashoda Mai is making big trunk. And she's putting nice things inside, clothes and ornaments and everything. I said, Mai, what are you doing? Oh, I'm collecting nice present. There's one person which I want to give these presents, I said, oh, what kind of person is that? Of course, he was thinking this present for him, or Balaram, or something like that. No, there's a very nice person. Because of the service, I'm very happy and thankful. I want to bring that thing. Who is that person? Tell me. Okay, this is Radharani. She's been cooking for you, and so I want to bring her some nice things. Oh my, really? Nice. So suddenly, by Krishna's providence, there were some guests coming. Some sadhus asking for donations. And she had to go. So what does Krishna do? He took all the ornaments, all the clothes out. He jumped himself inside that big box and he closed up. Yashoda came back as a woman. She kind of forgot it was full or not full. So she just tried to open. Oh, it must be full already. She thought, oh, pretty heavy. Oh, must be full already. And she called for whom he called? Story? For Radharani's husband, for Abhimanyu. Okay, Abhimanyu, come. I have a present for your home, for your wife. This box is full of nice, beautiful, very attractive things. My advice is to you. You bring this box and say to Radharani, Radharani, please enjoy the content of this box until your full satisfaction. Sure, he takes on the shoulders and he's very happy, so much diamonds and something like that inside. So he brings to the home. And Jatila, his mother, oh, what are you bringing? Oh, these are beautiful presents. I've been given instruction. Give this to Radharani and give the instruction from Yashoda. Please enjoy content of this box till the full satisfaction. So yes, should do that. But I'm old, I cannot bring, you should do it yourself. So what he did, he bring this box to Radharani's room. Just imagine, Krishna sitting inside, cramped in a box. He was very patient, He could jump out any time and, oh no, it's too much, too much austerity, No, he was very persistent. He was very peaceful. He had a goal in mind. So when he brought to the room, Abani says, Yashoda said, and my mother said, and I also saying the same thing, please enjoy the contents of the box till your full satisfaction. And he left the room. What happens? All the girls, Radharani, gopis, they open, fast, open, what's inside, we want to see. And they open, Krishna comes out. And of course they are playfully surprised. Wow, how is this? And Krishna says, did you hear what they said? You should enjoy in a full satisfaction. And of course, it doesn't go so easy. What gopis say? They said, no. Who you are? You must be a thief. We expect the jewelry and the saris and the everything, and then you probably stole it and sold to someone and jumped inside. No way. In such a way, discussions is going further and backwards and so on. So finally, they also managed to pacify the whole situation, so they were enjoying. And that happened in one day. There was, I think, something wrong happened, and Jatila said, you are grounded for 3 days. You cannot leave your room for 3 days. So for 3 days, Krishna was there. And they were having fun. So, many of these qualities we have to understand, which Rupa Goswami explains, originally exist in Krishna. So as we remember these described, what was the first one? Satisfaction. We know that Krishna's name, Atmaram, right? He's self-satisfied, Aptakam. His desires get satisfied. So unless we meditate on a person who is always satisfied, and he doesn't do that for his own enjoyment, he makes to make pleasure to other devotees. So unless we do that, and Prabhupada later explains in the purport, you have to do something for others. In such a way, your mind will come into the peace. If you want to cheat others, your mind will be all do, how to cheat, oh, I have to lie, I have to remember what I lied, and all the things will going on. If you do for others always good, your mind will be always in a peaceful situation. Satisfaction, simplicity, not duplicitous activities. Yeah. Gravity, what else? Krishna is always grave. At the same time, he's very jolly. That will come later, not in this verse of Bhagavad Gita and this time. Self-control, definitely Krishna is self-controlled. There's beautiful verses. Queens of Dwarka, they were looking at Krishna with side-on glances and different talks. It didn't influence Krishna at all. He was completely self-controlled, pure. And we discussed how Krishna is pure, how his name is pure, how he himself is pure, how he's purifying, the things like that. And devotees purify. So these qualities are very, very important. And of course, Krishna is telling those things, but if you take any single of these qualities, you can give a separate class, maybe separate 3 classes on each quality of purity, gravity, self-control, giving examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, from past times, from different things. So therefore, for us it's important, and if we concentrate on Krishna, this doesn't become our austerity anymore. It's not penance. We didn't do anything wrong. We don't think in the terms, I do something wrong and therefore I have to do some kind of austerity. No. It doesn't become austere. It becomes joyful because we are able to concentrate on Krishna and see how these qualities actually appear in him in such a way, by his association, we also absorb these things and we become peaceful, self-satisfied, gravity, simple, like that. So that would be my short presentation. If any questions or corrections or anything, please welcome. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada in the 72 version, he uses the word serenity.
Wow, very nice word.
Serenity, in the next version which you have, it would be more equivalent to self-satisfaction. And
right.
the devotees said peace. So
peace,
these things would be contained within that.
Transcendental, serene.
Yes.
Yeah, something which is above the things. You know, when you have this hustle and muscle of the city, and sometimes you come out in 3 o'clock in the morning, and all the taxis are kind of quieted down and so on, and there's just city lights, and after rain, something like, and you feel so serene. You want to get up some high building and look at the top of the building, and you kind of feel transcendental, the whole thing. You know? Even more, Krishna, even more, you can experience serenity when you go in an airplane. When you get up from airport and the lights are becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, and you see how whole world is such a tiny thing. You can see it's actually round. You know, it's so small. You know, just a couple hours and you can be anywhere. So you feel detached. That detachment from the worldly things bring this serenity. But serenity is not enough. Because as I said, this is things which lift us up from worldly things, from sense gratification, from this over-endeavoring, so on and so on. If that doesn't bring you to the dust of lotus feet of Krishna, what happens? You fall back down. It's usually said about liberation, those devotees, those saints who think they are liberated, but because they don't, this is verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, but they don't accept the solitary of your lotus feet, they'll fall back down to the worldly things. Prabhupada said, if you're not in devotion, then what happens? You do again hospitals, schools, you know, free food and such like. You go on. Yeah, it's sattva guna, not so much tamaguna, but sometimes because we are brought up in a not pure sattvic environment, we fall down to that position. despite maybe different occasions. For example, Bhakti Charaswami, he is also interesting thing, and he said, oh no, don't give him sannyasa so early, he will fall down. And Prabhupada said, we're going to fall down. Back to Sattvaguna? He said, back to Charaswami. He's going to fall back to Sattvaguna, It's not so bad, We're falling down to the things which are not mentioned, and we are kicked out in GBCs or so on. But for proper devotee, for him falling down is not much. Just a little bit, Maybe he's a little doubts about philosophy, but lifestyle doesn't change. He doesn't do any abominable things, He's still serene, but not so much connected to Krishna. But that can come back in anything. Because Krishna, as I said, originally his plan is working. He is persistent. If we are sometimes not persistent, Krishna is persistent. He will never give it up. If you once go to Krishna and say, I'm yours, that's it. Our spiritual master gives us a noose around the neck as a dog in a tulsi. That's it. We are forever Krishna's, and he will never give up. Whatever goes through will be our lesson, just for our benefit. Unless we have this kind of mentality, understanding, everything what happens to me is overlooked by Krishna and for my benefit, then our Krishna path is not easy. And this is a single thing we have to understand. Krishna is looking after me. He is a kind person. He is persistent. He wants more than me. Go back to him. So he will arrange something. But because we are so stubborn, sometimes this takes time. That's true. And at that time when we getting lessons, sometimes we don't feel very serene. I get like somebody kicking my ass. Some material nature is like really teaching me a lesson. So what to do? But he decides, he knows what lesson we need to have to get a little bit closer to him. Anything else? Okay, let's finish here. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama